and welcome to Cupcake Addiction's Milkshake Cake Pop tutorial, where I'm going to be showing you how to make this gorgeous little kind of bit of an old style milkshake cake pop. I love these because you don't need to have any fancy cake pop stands. They do stand on their own, and I just think they're a really cute take on the cake pops. Tools and equipment that we will be using today: I've got a knife, a Ziplock bag, I've got a pair of scissors, I've got a straw, and I'm using that as my little milkshake straw today. So I use these as cake pop sticks from time to time, and they're a paper straw, but they're quite a high quality paper straw. So they do hold the weight of a cake pop, and they're perfect for this, but they just give your guests something to pick up your little milkshake with so that they can eat it. I've got my pre-rolled cake pop ball ready to dip and decorate. Now, if you don't have a great recipe for getting your cake pop balls to this stage ready to dip, I have a great one on my channel, MyCupcakeAddiction, and I will leave a link to that in the description box below. Now, I've also got my one that I've pre-shaped that has been pre-refrigerated. So I'll be showing you how to achieve this shape, and then we'll be refrigerating it for about 15 minutes. This one's already been done just to save us a little bit of time. I've got a piece of wax paper or greaseproof paper. I've got 2 unmelted pink candy melts. You'll need 1 per milkshake. I've got a couple of red M&ms, once again 1 per milkshake. I've got some little white sprinkles or non-pariels, some melted pink candy melts, and I've got some melted just white chocolate or white candy melts. So let's get started. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we're going to shape our ball. So to shape your cake pop ball, you've got your nice round ball, and you're just going to rock it in the palm of your hand to kind of make almost like an elongated strawberry shape. Now, you do want to taper it down because you want it to be relatively sort of skinny at the bottom, and then I'm just going to use my finger just to give it a slightly flat bottom. So you want it as skinny as you can at the bottom, but you don't want to go too crazy on it because it still has to be able to support its own weight. Now, I took the back of my knife, and this is more just as a bit of a guide for me for when I'm dipping. I use the back of my knife to just make a bit of a guideline around, and that's going to define the bottom of my milkshake and the top. So you should have something that looks sort of like that, and you can pop that into the fridge for about 15 minutes until it's really nice and firm. So as I mentioned, I've got mine here, and that's been pre-done and that's ready to go. So it's really firm. If I squeeze it, it's not going to squeeze out of shape. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the cake pop ball and our straw. Now, normally I would dip the cake pop stick or the lollipop stick into the chocolate and then put it into the cake pop. But for this one, I'm going to hold the cake pop ball with the bottom half, and I'm just going to dip the top half down to that line. Perfect. Now, I'm going to take our straw, dip it in, and then you want to stick it. You can give that a little shake off if you like, but it's not going to matter. Do not worry at all if that top's not neat, because it's all going to be covered in sprinkles anyway. So I'm just going to slide in my straw, and I like to twist these straws as I slide them in. Just helps them to go in a little bit easier on a nice angle there. So you can see there, that's going to make our straw. Leave that straw long for now because it gives you something that you can dip with, and I guess it's a good little kind of a grip stick or something that you can pick your cake pop up with. Now from here, and you don't need to wait for that to dry, you want to just dip in the bottom half. When you're double dipping like this, or when you're half dipping, you do need to make sure that the 2 chocolates meet up. If you've got any of that cake pop ball showing through your chocolate, it's actually going to sort of weep a little bit. But if you completely encase it, none of that's going to come out. All right, so just dipping that in. Now, don't worry once again if it's not a beautiful even coat. Do make sure that you've met the 2 up and pull it out. Give it a little shake off, and then you want to take one of your candy melts and just thin them on that wax paper. This is going to give us our flat bottom. Now, you want to hold that until it's completely set. That's going to take a couple of minutes. All right, so we're back, and I'm pretty happy that that's fairly well set. So what we're going to do now is we're going to re-dip that bottom half back into those pink candy melts. The whole lot, including that extra candy melt that you have on the base there. Give it a little bit of a shake off, and then you want to bring it over to your wax paper and you want to set it down, kind of push it down a little bit. That's going to make that really nice defined foot, and you just want to hold that now until that sets. All right, so now that that's completely set, you can pull it off the wax paper, and you can see that you've got your really lovely little foot. Now, it's still not quite looking like our milkshake because that top is not the right size in proportion to the bottom. So what we're going to do is you can take your stick now and you can snip it off. So you just want it to look like kind of a bit of a straw size. And I like to do this now because otherwise you've got to wait for the next stage to dry before you can do it. So once you've done that, just fashion that round edge on the straw again, and you should have something looking a little bit like this if I lay it down. All right, beautiful. So now you want to take your white chocolate, and this is where we're going to make, I guess, the foamy, frothy top of our milkshake. So just tip in just a little bit of that white chocolate. You don't need too much of it. Let any air out just so that you don't make an air bubble explosion anywhere. And we're just going to cut off quite a fine tip. No exact size here, and don't be too fussy with it. What you're going to do is you're just going to pick it up by the little straw, and I'm just going to kind of just swirl around. So you're making kind of just a bit of a textured, raised, milkshakey top. Do make sure that you come down over the sides of that pink. So you want to cover up the join where the pink joins the white, and you want to make sure that it's really nice and, I guess, frothy over the top. Now, if you want, you can give it just a couple of tiny little taps on the bench, not too hard. And that will just help some of those little drizzles there drizzle down the side of the cup. And then we're going to take, this is the messy part, take your sprinkles or your non-pariels and just sprinkle them on top like little bubbles. All right, it looks like it's been snowing in my kitchen. Now to finish that off completely, you want to take just one of your M&ms, and I like to stick them sort of on their side just to make them look like nice big round cherries. Just slide that into the white chocolate. So there you've got, make sure that it's nice and centered. So there you've got your really cool kind of 50s style milkshake bar, milkshake cake pop. I hope that you guys have loved watching this tutorial. I really enjoyed making it and I think it's really cute. Thanks for watching My Cupcake Addiction.